Naruto and Kasumi's date had gone well. It wasn't anything fancy, but they only wanted a place alone to be able to recount all the good times they had been through and tell each other what they had missed. Somehow Naruto had found a place they could be alone within Konoha, which wasn't in their compound. Apparently, there was a large cave system inside the Hokage monument, which for the time being seemed empty. Naruto had been very formal, much Kasumi's amusement, but she secretly liked it. He wasn't taking her for granted just because she loved him unconditionally. While she was flattered, she hadn't seen this coming the way it had. He didn't really need to do that, but I'm not complaining. They were almost at their compound, and Kasumi knew for sure that Naruto was using a genjutsu around them to make the villagers ignore the two as he carried her like a bride to their compound. The gates opened as Naruto pressed his palm on the entrance seal. Once they reached Kasumi's room, he put her down and ruffled her hair. "You know, I had thought you might have changed into a wild cat in the time I was gone. But you're still just as obedient and nice. Not that I would have loved you any less if you were a wild cat, but you would have been harder to handle." Hey. She smiled at her brother warmly. "I had a great time on Ni-chan. Thank you very much. As for me being a wild cat, I can be that too if you want." She gave him a wink and then wrapped her arms around his neck, pulling herself up until her breath was brushing against his left ear. She lightly bit down on it. Then she proceeded to give him a good night's kiss, but he seemed to have other plans. Naruto had kept his urges bottled up for way too long, but he wouldn't force his twin sister to do anything she didn't want. But even he had his limits. Lemon warning. Incest. She hadn't even been able to withdraw her lips from his when she felt him grab her by the hair and pull her head back gently to look at her. "You know, someone as beautiful as you shouldn't do something like that to a boy unless you want to do more." She raised an eyebrow at his words. Sure, the bite wasn't appropriate, but what's wrong with a good night's kiss? That's when she felt him feel her up as he started laying butterfly kisses on her neck. "Oh. So that's what he wants, She showed her consent by maintaining her hold on his neck to hoist herself up as she wrapped her legs around him. Naruto stopped kissing her delicate neck, and their lips met with fiery passion. As their tongues massaged each other, teasing them with each flick, Kasumi knew her brother was beyond control now. Naruto ripped her one-piece dress off her with a feral growl, which surprised Kasumi a bit, but she didn't bother telling him to stop. He continued to squeeze her ass with his left hand while ripping off the rest of her clothing with the other. He realized where this was going, but it was extremely hard for him to control his demonic urges. As he threw her dress away, leaving her nude to his gaze, he let her down and took a step back. A few deep, calming breaths cleared his thoughts, if only slightly. "Kasumi, do you really want this to continue? You know where this is going, right? I can stop now, but any further and you can't back out." Kasumi just rolled her eyes at her brother as she giggled. "I knew where this was going to go the moment you took off my dress, Anathi-chan, and if I had any objections, trust me, I would have told you." Naruto smirked at his sister. He knew that she was strong enough that even if he wanted, he couldn't force himself on her without severely injuring them both, not that he would anyway. With one last look into each other's eyes, they re-engaged in their kissing session with renewed vigor. Naruto opened the door to his room with one hand while still firmly squeezing Kasumi's butt with the other. But when they entered, they both immediately stopped kissing and broke apart with a gasp. Only Naruto's hands and body concealed Kasumi's nudity from her mother. "Kaa-chan, what are you doing in my room with all this filming equipment?"
Kushina's eyes widened comically as she realized she'd been caught. "Oh crap, you are back earlier than I expected. I mean welcome back. How did the date go?"
"Kaa-chan, this isn't the time, please." "Well, you see, I didn't want to miss out on seeing my kids' first night together." Naruto shuffled on his feet, not quite sure what to do. His hard-on, along with Kasumi's nudity, made it impossible to not know what they were about to do. Kasumi was beet red at her mother's boldness. Whether from anger or embarrassment, no one knew. "Ka-chan," she said in a way too sweet voice. "Could you please leave with your equipment? Please." Kushina immediately got the hint of danger in her daughter's tone and hurriedly packed off the equipment before leaving. "Ah, sorry for interrupting. Continue, you two. I'm just gonna... never mind." With that, she left their room and closed the door. Neither of the siblings noticed the small camera in the flower pot. Kushina's room. Kia. Kushina's squeal sent the other two occupants into fits of giggles. She looked so cute and weird when she was like this. Neither had seen this side of her much. "Get ready, Natsumi-chan, Mikoto-chan. This is going to be awesome." Mikoto looked at her friend oddly once her giggling was under control. She still didn't believe that Kushina had actually set up cameras in Kasumi's room so she could watch her kids fuck. She had a hard time believing that she was allowing it too, and seemed happy about it. While there was no such thing as an incest taboo among bloodline clans, she had never before come across a pair with such a close relationship. "You have a wicked mind, Kushina-chan. I swear one of these days you'll give me a heart attack." Natsumi was looking at her mother with stars in her eyes. "You are the greatest I could have hoped for, Kei-chan. This is the best material I could have gotten against Kasumi as blackmail." Kushina grinned at her two guests. She had known the twins would suspect there was something in the room due to Kushina's regular behavior, so she had been there in the first place with fake equipment. Once she was gone, they just assumed that she took everything with her. They still have a lot to learn. Back with Kasumi and Naruto. Their excitement hadn't been dulled in the slightest by Kushina's interruption, and once she had left, they re-engaged with renewed vigor. Kasumi was quite literally the epitome of feminine beauty. Naruto couldn't help but drool a little at her perfect hourglass figure and angelic features, which she noticed with a small blush. Naruto was a fine male specimen himself. He had gotten at least a few good benefits from yoki usage. Add that to his extreme training schedule for the last few years, and you have a very fit male. Kasumi's heart pounded in her chest as Naruto stepped towards, touched the side of her right breast with the tip of his fingers, and then trailed his hand downwards, feeling her curves along the way. He then wrapped his right hand around her waist and pulled her closer. The redhead leaned into his touch as she placed her arms on his shoulders for support. Then he used his left hand to grope Kasumi's right breast and rub the nipple while he sucked on her pink nipple of the left breast. Kasumi shivered in pleasure her brother was giving her, his every touch sending pleasant sensations throughout her body. As she felt her brother's lips on her nipples, she couldn't help but moan and press against him. Naruto himself was immensely enjoying his work. Kasumi's soft and nubile body was tasty enough for him to be able to do this all day. But his demonic urge to mate was slowly increasing to uncontrollable levels. Kasumi felt his hard member press into her belly through his boxers, and she slowly and a bit reluctantly pushed Naruto away from her to get down on her knees in front of him. While Naruto was a bit disappointed to have been forced apart from her, he knew what was coming next will be more than worth it. He felt himself harden further as his beautiful sister took hold of his boxers from either side and slowly slid them down. As his hardness sprang free, he had to chuckle at the gasp from Kasumi at his size. Trembling slightly in fear and anticipation, she looked up at him with her ocean blue eyes and bit her lower lip. "Anna-chan, it can't possible fit in me." For a virgin like Kasumi, 10 inches was too much, and he was as thick as her wrist. She was sure that if he used that on her, it wasn't going to be funny. She was now left wondering how much it might hurt being impaled by something that big. She knew it would hurt a bit at first, but with his immense size, maybe the whole experience would be painful for her. "I hope you enjoy it, Anui-chan, even if I don't. This will bring us closer, and you deserve it from me." The redhead pushed all the doubts aside, though, and decided to follow her instincts for now. As she touched his hot shaft and breathed on it, she felt him twitch in anticipation. She gave him a soft experimental tug and was rewarded with a thick glob of precum. Licking her lips, she moved in closer to him and extended her tongue out. Naruto had to resist the urge to just hold her head and fuck her mouth right there. He felt jolts run through his being as her tongue made contact with the base, and she gave him a long, slow, tentative lick on his hard shaft from the base to tip, making sure to lick off the thick glob of precum at the tip. She found its taste intriguing. Not mouth-watering tasty, but it was something she got from her brother, and that fact itself made it one of the most precious things Kasumi wanted to have. Naruto groaned in pleasure that his sister's tongue gave him. He felt his member twitch in anticipation as she once again moved in close. This time she was more confident and hungry for him. She kissed his tip with her red lips experimentally, before she started to seemingly make out with it, using her tongue with great enthusiasm. All the while, she used both her soft hands to pump him, occasionally taking delight in the small amount of fluid her efforts managed to conjure. He looked down to see Kasumi with her eyes closed, and when she had them open, she was staring at him with love. He was expecting at least a bit of lust in them given what they were doing, but there was only one emotion he could see in them. Naruto felt his heart flutter every time he looked at her love-filled eyes, and the sensations she was giving him were unreal. He was brought back to the real world when Kasumi stopped making out with his crown and looked at him.
Did you like that, Oni-chan? It was an innocent question, not one she had meant to arouse him with, but it still had that effect. She had absolutely no experience in the field, other than what her mother had told her during her teasing training sessions. Hence she couldn't be completely sure about what she had to do.
Yes, you're going along very nicely. Don't stop now. Kasumi beamed happily at the praise took him back in her mouth, only an inch or two at first, but then more and more. Naruto watched the red-headed beauty take his tip in her mouth and groaned loudly when he felt himself hit the back of her throat. She massaged his member with her tongue while it was in her, then pulled back to lay kisses on him again. Once more she proceeded to take him in, this time with some more determination. Naruto held the back of her head with his hands to better direct her, and get a little more control. Then he watched her slowly take his member in her till it was in about 4 inches, and had hit the back of her throat again before withdrawing completely, kissing his tip lovingly and taking it all the way in again. After a while, Naruto couldn't take it anymore and held her by the hair, forcing her to look up. As she focused her questioning gaze upon him, still sucking on him, he used his other hand to gently rub her cheek. He didn't know how it was possible when she was sucking on him to blush with that little show of affection, but she did. Given his current state, it was hard for him to not just slam her against the wall and fuck her till she passes out, and then some. So there was no beating around the bush. Would you mind if I told you to relax a bit and let me have your mouth? Kasumi slowly took his member out before she smiled and nodded. As soon as she had, Naruto used her crimson locks as leverage to lower her on his cock again. As he felt himself entering her warm mouth again, a particularly large glob of precum was spurted, which he felt her swallow. Holding her hair tightly, he slowly started pumping in and out of her mouth, while she tried her best to suck him in without using her hands. Soon enough, he found himself pushing against her throat, trying to bury himself deeper. As it was her first time, Kasumi may never even have thought about it. But Naruto wasn't a demon for show. Try to swallow it and don't resist. That surprised her, but she did as she was told. As Naruto felt himself slowly getting past her gag reflex, his eyes almost rolled back. It was so tight. Grrr.
Kasumi felt a bit weird and afraid when she felt him get past her throat, but she trusted her brother. She started channeling chakra to her lungs. She knew she could live without oxygen for 10 minutes. After 7 or 8 minutes of furiously pumping in and out of the redhead's mouth and throat, he felt himself reaching his limits. He buried himself hilt deep in her.
Kasumi's nose twitched as she felt her brother's unique peppermint-like smell assault her when her nose was touching his trimmed pubes. She was always familiar with it, but it was never this intense. "Kasumi-chan, be ready now," he groaned. Kasumi couldn't speak since she had her mouth rather full, but gave him a nod as a permission, if he even needed that. However, he changed his mind as he withdrew from her throat.
Reading his intentions, she tried to smile, but was nervous given she would definitely have that monstrous thing stuck up her tight belly soon enough. Of course, she knew, he would want her to taste the first load he gave to her. If he had shot it down her throat, that wouldn't have been possible.
Naruto watched as his beautiful twin took him in her mouth again, and started bobbing up and down, careful to not take him too deep, so that she gets to taste all of him before it goes into her belly. Kasumi felt her brother twitch as only his tip was in her mouth. She sucked deeply on him, and then came the first hot blast of sperm she ever tasted. She swirled the thick and warm fluid around her tongue, savoring the taste as another rope of hot, thick cream filled her mouth. She swallowed it like it was the best drink she ever had, bliss clearly written on her face. The taste wasn't exceptional, but the source of it made the fluid special for her.
He then continued to blast rope after rope of hot thick semen in her mouth. She gulped down again and again and again, savoring the taste of her brother's seed each and every time by swirling it around with her tongue before letting it enter her belly. Finally, after what seemed to her like it would never end, he stopped. She felt her belly almost completely filled with her brother's cream. Giving one last kiss to his tip, she shakily tried to stand up, feeling his hot cream slosh inside her as she did so. The redhead leaned against her brother's chest to recover a bit. Her brother had different ideas though.
Too aroused to stop and let his twin rest, Naruto growled as he held her shapely butt roughly and ripped her panties off. He threw her into the nearby bed, ignoring her startled gasp. She felt the weight shift as he then got down between her legs and bit on her thigh. Kasumi winced a bit but didn't object. "Ani-chan, you don't have to."
Entranced by her strawberry scent, her reply was cut short when she felt his hot breath hit her. She stopped breathing as her eyes were locked with Naruto's lips as they moved closer towards her between her creamy thighs. As he licked her lower lips, he heard her sharp intake of breath and felt her arch her back. His eyes almost rolled to the back of his head at her heavenly taste. She tasted like strawberries, but still there was something different. She was different, smooth and sweet with the little naughtiness of the berries, but he couldn't put her into words.
She gasped at the strange feeling she got when he did that. "Wow." She squirmed a bit, not sure if she really should just sit back and enjoy like she wanted or do something for him in return. Naruto seemed amused by her reaction, but continued his assault at a teasing pace. He gave her a reassuring smile in between his licks, telling her to just sit back and relax. His own excitement grew exponentially as her breathing became short and quick, and she panted and moaned from his attention.
Taking another long lick at her, he used one of his hands to rub her right nipple and the other to massage her butt cheeks. Kasumi's pants, moans and whimpers almost drove him wild, but he managed to restrain himself. As his tongue went inside her tight hot body, Kasumi felt as if stars had entered her vision. On reflex, she closed her thighs, effectively trapping the blonde in between her long smooth legs. It had taken quite a while to get her there, but thankfully he had more than enough stamina for it. He continued his tonguing while Kasumi writhed in pleasure under him. He got a wicked grin when he saw her squirming.
Smiling all the while, he took out his tongue from her folds, and gave her a long, slow lick from the base to her clit. Without even giving her time to recover, he drove two of his fingers into her. While she was painfully tight, his saliva combined with her love juices provided enough lubrication. "Naruto Nisei, please." Those fingers hurt when they entered her, even though she was thoroughly wet.
Her vision was getting foggy by now from all the pleasure she was receiving from her brother. She had tried to touch herself, but that had been a disappointment as she found out she couldn't achieve release that way for some reason. The redhead found herself getting closer and closer to her first ever orgasm at an alarming pace. She felt each time her brother's tongue entered her, twisted around and played inside her, or his fingers went just a little farther.
Antu-chan. I think I will. Naruto took his hand away from her breasts and used both his hands to squeeze both of her ass cheeks. He increased his assault on her clit and increased the pace at which he was finger-fucking her, then inserted another finger. That was way beyond what Kasumi had needed for her release, and she felt her vision explode in various colors as she lost herself to the bliss of orgasm. Her body writhed and thrashed as she felt wave after wave of pleasure tear through her. She just lay there panting as her bliss subsided, and she finally caught up with the reality. Naruto had happily lapped up all of the delicious nectar that his sister blessed him with. He loved her taste. He moved upwards towards her breasts and started fondling them with his hands while sucking on her lower areas, hoping to get any leftover nectar. Kasumi had just stopped thrashing in pleasure when her brother finally lost himself to the incredible arousal he was feeling. Without any warning, he positioned himself between her legs and took one last look at her to see if she had any doubts. He didn't know if he could stop now if she said no, but still he wanted to know. Kasumi was a bit intimidated by looking at her brother's massive length and girth positioned between her legs, ready to impale her. But she didn't have any doubts whatsoever about what he wanted, or if she was going to give it to him. She gulped in anticipation of what was to come, but gave her brother an affirmative nod. If it brings a little pain to me but makes him happy, I guess I can take it for him. Please enjoy this, Ani-chan. Naruto was a bit worried about his sister too, but his desire to fuck her senseless was too strong for him to resist, and he didn't want to resist either. He rubbed his tip up and down on her, and then pressed the tip against her entrance. Slowly, he increased the pressure with which he was pushing, and started inserting his member in her folds. The blonde marveled at the heat and tightness she provided him with as his bulbous head entered her. Kasumi had to grit her teeth to stop from screaming as she felt her brother's thick tools stretch her. Her folds parted to allow him entry, albeit very reluctantly. Naruto savored her delicious warmth, even as only the head had entered the girl when he had to pause or break her hymen.
He had hoped that it would be broken by now due to training or such, but it seemed her advanced regeneration had prevented that from happening. He had no doubt she was a virgin though. There was no way his sister would let any other man touch her if he knew her.
Kasumi kept staring as her brother entered in her for what felt like forever, and still almost his entire length was resting outside, waiting to impale her. It was baffling. She already felt quite full, and he hadn't even started yet. Still, she wrapped her legs around Naruto's waist to help him enter her.
She returned his apologizing but lust-filled look with a smile, and then he pushed in with one extremely powerful thrust. She couldn't hold in her scream as he tore through her.
He had to grit his teeth together to prevent from coming then and there, from her warmth and tightness Kasumi's velvety walls were giving him. Fuck! She feels unreal. Kasumi was silenced when Naruto leaned forward and kissed her to provide some comfort. Her breaths were coming out in short gasps, and her eyes were tightly closed shut. She felt tears run down her cheeks because of the sharp pain she had felt due to her virginity being taken, but she had never been so happy before. She was finally his. As she felt his powerful muscle throb inside her and opened her eyes, an odd sense of pride washed over her. She was making her brother feel so good. Pleasure was written all over his face. Now she knew no matter how painful this was going to be, the emotional happiness she got more than compensated for it. The crimson-haired girl kissed him again lovingly when he had withdrawn his lips from hers. She braced herself for all the pain she was going to feel that night, but felt happy that her brother was going to enjoy her. Naruto slowly withdrew till only an inch was inside of her, before moving back in her again. Her smooth and warm walls embracing and massaging his tool, giving him unspeakable pleasure. She shuddered as her brother stretched her again to the point where she couldn't believe she was still in one piece. She felt butterflies flutter in her stomach at the pure bliss written over her Onani-chan's face. Naruto loved every moment of it. She was extremely tight, and her body held him in with a tender but vice-like grip. He felt like he could die happy, having never felt so good before in his entire life. But he had to restrain himself to his limit to stop giving in to his urges and pounding senselessly into the gorgeous redhead below him. If this was hurting her enough for her to scream now, he knew he had to be careful with his strength. He looked at her form below him and noticed the tears that had fell from her eyes when he took her virginity. He felt a slight pang of guilt before pushing that thought aside. It had to happen if they were to take their relationship to the next level. And soon the pain will subside anyway. He continued pumping in and out of her tight body at a somewhat restrained pace. Kasumi's face turned to confusion as the pain started to subside, and was replaced with a dull, throbbing ache and the feeling of him moving inside her. She got momentarily worried if her brother won't feel so good from her anymore, if it didn't hurt, but then calmed down as Naruto still seemed to be enjoying her just as much. Slowly, moans started escaping her lips, and a thin sheen of sweat covered her form as pleasurable sensations started erupting inside of her. She couldn't help but be delighted every time Naruto hit her womb and buried himself in her to the hilt, rubbing his groin between her legs. Every little grunt of pleasure he gave, every time he twitched, entranced her. She was fascinated with how good she could make him feel this way, and mentally swore she would make sure to give him the maximum happiness she can this way.
Naruto finally felt some of his guilt wash away as he saw her breathe heavily and moan, this time in pleasure instead of pain. He decided to keep his pace slow and steady as it might be too much for Kasumi if he went too fast for the first time.
Would you like to go faster, Anya-chan? He looked into her eyes a bit bewildered. With how tight you are and how good this feels, I don't think I will last too long if I went faster, or if you can take it. Kasumi pouted. What did he think she was, a quitter? Of course I can take it. I can see you want to go faster, so please. Naruto sighed in defeat. Fine, but don't blame me later. He took a hold of her hands with his and put them over their head so he held her immobile. It seemed her arousal increased upon him doing this. Then he gave a mighty thrust in, all his length moving inside her in one stroke, and then withdrawn the next second. Sounds of flesh hitting flesh, Naruto's grunts and Kasumi's moans and whimpers filled the room. Unlike last time, this wasn't just one feeling. Not just pain, not just pleasure, but a strange combination of both. With every thrust he was hitting the wall of her womb, stimulating areas in her that she didn't know existed, and stretching her painfully tight body.
Kasumi soon found herself reaching the limit again. She started thrusting back towards Naruto, moving with him in a rhythm. It hurt, and it felt good at the same time. She could feel something build up inside her, and the more it built the greater she felt.
She wrapped her legs around his waist and arched her back as Naruto pounded into her almost mercilessly. This was what she desired, for her brother to take her just like this. As he withdrew, due to her arched back, his belly rubbed against her flat stomach with each stroke, and his tight hold on her hands made it seem like she was completely his to take pleasure from. Naruto buried his whole 10 inches in her before grunting in effort. He was quickly reaching his limits. This was his first time after all, and it was a miracle he had been able to hold out this long with a girl like Kasumi. The stunning redhead looked at her brother with a strange expression, and then leaned towards him to whisper into his ear. Thank you, Anime-chan. I want you to know. You can have me however you want, whenever you want, wherever you want.
Her words were proving to be a bit too much for him, but he gave her a nod, accepting her request. He withdrew again till only the tip was inside her, before thrusting back again.
Kasumi, I am going to come. Come in me, Onigi-chan. Fill me up. Just let it go. Naruto gave her a vicious grin and bite her on the neck. On reflex she gasped, and bit him on his neck as well.
With one final thrust he buried all of his length into her and grabbed her shapely butt before squeezing it hard and pulling her tightly against him. He then blasted rope after rope of hot thick semen deep inside her. Kasumi felt him release his boiling hot seed inside her again and again into her previously undiscovered depths. It was hot enough that she was sure it would sizzle inside her. She squeezed him as hard as he could, trying to milk him for all he was worth. But that wasn't needed.
She felt her vision going dark before she felt unconsciousness take her. Neither of them noticed Uzumaki's spiral form on their necks, marking them as life partners. Naruto looked down at his beautiful twin laying below him, completely out of it. He decided not to bother withdrawing his member, as with her advanced regeneration, she will soon recover and be ready to go again. He had a lot to make up for. A few minutes later, Kasumi's eyes fluttered open. She found herself looking into her brother's eyes. Her eyes widened with shock as she felt herself still getting her womb filled with his hot seed. Anu-chan, are you still coming in me?
Naruto chuckled as his spurting finally came to a halt. The redhead felt like she was filled up completely. Her womb was full of her brother's sizzling cream, she could feel it. Her stomach was full of him too. She never felt so satisfied before.
Kasumi gasped and then moaned as he suddenly started thrusting into her again. You said you are mine whatever way I wish, right? Let me know when you want me to stop, though. She didn't get any time to recover as he started moving in and out of her at a faster pace than before. Aneri-chan, Anu-sama, please don't stop, this feels so good. With every thrust, Kasumi found herself closer to another orgasm. Naruto finally let go of all restraints as he started going faster and harder than ever before, drawing a gasp from his twin with every thrust. He was finally satisfying his urge of mating that he had been holding back for years. The fact that it was Kasumi that was giving him all the pleasure was all the more satisfying. He felt her walls try to hold him in and convulse as she rode through her orgasm. That sent another wave of intense pleasure through him. But Naruto had no intention to stop anytime soon. He was going to use his demonic stamina to see how long Kasumi could hold herself together. He continued his long, hard thrusts into his twin sister with a happy and challenging smile on his face, which was returned by Kasumi as a loving and determined gaze. You don't know what you got yourself into, Kasumi-chan. Lemon warning. Incest N. Kushina's room. Makoto was sitting wide-eyed in front of the screen. Holy shit. They've been going at it for hours, and your son is still not even slightly exhausted. He is trying to kill her or what? Kushina's eyes were half-lidded as she chewed on her bottom lip. Don't worry, my daughter can take some punishment, and they are not going to stop until one of them gives up. Don't you see the look in their eyes? While Makoto was shocked at first that Kushina had really put a camera in her daughter's room to spy on the siblings' intimate act, she had to admit it was a damn good show. They sure have some stamina. I don't know if I will ever be able to fit in with them. Natsumi grumbled in disappointment. Once she had seen Naruto back, she had become pretty sure that it wasn't just some stupid schoolgirl crush she had on him, or it wouldn't have lasted that long. But she knew Kasumi was more beautiful than her, and more cheerful, and closer to Naruto. She loved her sister, but when it came to Naruto, she just knew that she won't ever be able to get anywhere as close to Naruto as Kasumi. And now watching them fuck like bunnies in heat with unreal stamina, she felt her knees go weak. If he does that to me for that long, I am not sure I can heal myself back up to be able to walk properly ever again. Kushina tried to reassure her daughter as she kissed her cheek. Don't worry, Mizume. I'm sure you will fit in just fine. Don't worry too much about it when it comes down to it, just go with the flow. For now, just watch. And so, the night continued. Kushina, Nina, and Kaibai, 19. Ageless Natsumi, 410 Kasumi, 16. Ageless Naruto, 18. Ageless Yami, Sakura, Ino, Sasuke, etc. 12. Jiraiya, Orochimaru, Tsunade 50 Nagato, Conan, Yahiko 24. Chapter 9. Graduation. Lemon warning. Please skip to the warning end message if you want to avoid incest scene. The next morning, Naruto woke up with a seemingly permanent grin plastered on his face. As he looked down to see the naked figure of his twin sister sleeping soundly on his chest, he couldn't help but plant a soft kiss on her lips, which caused her eyes to slowly flutter open. Kasumi blushed as she remembered the events of their activities last night. Naruto had quite literally fucked her to death, except she didn't die. She still remembered that the seventh and last time he had filled her up with his seed, she had blacked out. But before she could remember more, she felt herself being lifted off her brother and put down on the bed. She looked up to see Naruto hovering above her, grinning like madman. Ready for round 2? Kasumi's eyes widened in slight panic. Wait! We have graduation exams to attend, Onui-chan. We can't be late, and once you start again. Naruto pouted at her response. Aw, don't be mean. Didn't you enjoy it too? And we can just have a quickie before we leave. Kasumi felt her face flush. All right, fine, but just one time. No cheating. Naruto just smirked at her. He could still remember the feeling her soft but amazingly tight velvety walls gave him as they fit around him like a glove. How he enjoyed shooting rope after rope of his hot, thick seed inside her as she milked him for all he was worth during her orgasm. But what he really enjoyed was when she screamed his name in pleasure during their 7th turn, when she finally didn't have any more space to contain his seed, and it had started to spray out of their bond. And finally, when she blacked out, filled to the brim with his cum. He felt his dick twitch in anticipation. Grabbing his rock-hard tool, he rubbed it against Kasumi's swollen lower lips, causing her to whimper. Anu-chan, we have to hurry if we want to get ready by the right time. He mentally cursed his luck for not knowing any technique that could slow time or make it completely stop. Maybe that way he could have fucked her however long he wanted. Pushing that thought aside, he inserted himself just a bit, eliciting a moan of approval from his crimson-haired princess. He looked down at her, and after getting an approving smile from the beauty, he pushed all the way in, slowly and smoothly. Kasumi felt her brother bottom out inside her, hitting her cervix with his tip, his pelvis pressing against hers. She still found it hard to believe that she was able to take all of his 10 inches, if only barely. Her twin brother stretched her to limits every time he entered her. It was as if they were designed for each other, just the right fit.
Naruto proceeded to slowly pump in and out of Kasumi, while she milked him with her muscles to the best of her ability. Oni-sama, she gasped between his thrusts.
Suddenly, Naruto grabbed her at the waist and turned her over, so that she was lying face down on the bed. The sudden twisting motion while his member was still lodged in her caused Kasumi to shiver in delight, triggering her first orgasm of the day. Naruto had to grit his teeth in concentration so as not to blow his load in her as she had her orgasm. Every time her walls tightened around him more, he found it hard to restrain himself.
He finally asked something that had been bothering him for a while now, and he really wanted to try. Kasumi-chan, do you mind if I go a bit hard and fast?
Kasumi thought about it for a moment. It was hard to think during an orgasm, though, so she responded without much thought. Anu-sama. Why yours to take however you wish. Grinning all the while, he motioned her to position herself on her hands and knees. Kasumi picked herself up a bit and got into the provocative position, her butt in the air with she was on hands and knees. Naruto was still lodged inside her, so he slowly withdrew till only his tip was touching her vulva. Then, in one fast thrust, he entered his full length in her, causing her to gasp. It took a bit effort, as she was still painfully tight. Then, without waiting, he pulled out till only his tip was in her, before slamming back again. Nar. Oni-chan? Oni-sama. Naruto only got turned on more from her melodic voice. He groped her breasts with both his hands, and then pulled her upper body up while still fucking her ruthlessly. When she turned her head around, he captured her mouth in a passionate kiss, never stopping his continuous pumping of her. He continued pounding in and out of her at an almost brutal pace. Ugh, this feels so great.
Kasumi was in a whole new world of pain and pleasure. She was sure if not for her advanced regeneration she wouldn't have been able to take his relentless pounding.
After a few more minutes, Naruto slammed all the way in her once again, with more power than before. Kasumi involuntarily screamed as she felt her brother's hot and thick seed start filling her up again. She was still quite full from his 7 shots last night, so quite a bit of it leaked out. Finally, a bit satisfied, Naruto withdrew from his twin sister's abused pussy. "Thank you so much, Kasumi-chan, that was so great. I really enjoyed you." Kasumi's legs felt like noodles to her. She wasn't sure she could walk for a while now. You're welcome, Onisama," she replied, still somewhere between conscious and unconsciousness. Naruto had to sigh at his honorific. She probably won't call him that in public, but she did whenever she felt like showing her submissive nature to him. "Well, Kasumi-chan, I am going to take a shower and get ready for academy. Do you want to join me there?" This time Kasumi really thought about it. Last time she had replied without thinking, her legs got turned into jelly. "If I join him in the shower, we will end up doing it again. And we don't have time if we want to get to the academy today. Give me a minute, I need to recover first. You go on ahead. I will come later, okay?" Naruto was quite satisfied for the moment. Even though he hadn't gone soft, he just had fun with Kasumi. "I hope my sexual needs go down a bit with time. I don't think Kasumi-chan can handle this every day." "Sorry to disappoint you, Naruto-kun, but male demons always have huge libidos, one that can probably never be satisfied simply by fucking human girls. Why, you are only a half-demon for now because of all the Yuki usage. I don't think your sexual desires are going to decline anytime soon. In fact, when you finally become a full demon, it won't be funny. It can't be too bad though, I just need a little bit of control, which I should get with time." "Sure," he responded. With that, our hero left to get a shower. He knew why Kasumi didn't join him and understood her situation. After he was gone, the door to Naruto's room opened, and none other than Natsume Uzumaki walked in towards Kasumi. "Wani-chan, you should have knocked first, at least let me get dressed." Natsumi giggled at her panicked look. If she knew we watched everything last night? "Hey, it's okay. It's not like I haven't seen anything yet, and I just came to heal you up a bit," she said as she sat down on her knees between Kasumi's thighs. Kasumi blushed. "It's not that I mind you seeing me like that, just a bit surprised." Natsumi smiled at her younger sister. She was just so cute, lying there naked, looking like she had been fucked all night and still blushing. "You know, after everything you two did last night, I would have thought you wouldn't blush if I saw you naked." Kasumi's eyes widened a bit. "Why, you watched." "It was Kei-chan, wasn't it?" Natsumi just grinned cheekily at her and put her hands with mystical healing palm technique active between Kasumi's thighs.
Kasumi gasped a bit at first when she felt a hand between her legs. She was very sore and sensitive in that region right now. She let out a sigh of relief as she felt her sore muscles relax.
"You have to teach me how to do that, Wani-chan. I'm not too sure if I can learn, but I need to try," she mumbled. Natsumi nodded at her. "We can start training you in basics whenever you want. I can still be the main healer of our group, but it's always a good thing if you know some basic healing. Just in case I am not there or I get injured. And I get the feeling you're going to be like this every day now." Kasumi giggled a bit. Truth be told, they were exaggerating, as her regeneration would have made her as good as she was before she lost her virginity, in just a few more minutes. They remained there in comfortable silence as Natsumi finished healing Kasumi. Natsumi licked her lips as she watched Kasumi lying there, legs wide spread and eyes closed. She looked so tasty, and with Naruto-kun's cum still leaking out of her. Kasumi-chan, can I taste what Naruto is like?" she asked a bit hesitantly. Kasumi looked towards her voice and saw Natsumi's head was mere inches from her lower lips. I don't think that will be right, Wani-chan. But I don't have anything against it if you really. But I think it's better to get it from the source. Kasumi's giggle turned into choking when, without any further confirmation, Natsumi used a finger to sweep up some of the cum from between her legs, and then put the finger in her mouth. It's not so bad. Really? I thought it was great. I don't know. It's okay. It's more the idea of it coming from Anui-chan that makes it great for me, I suppose. So you wouldn't know what it's like till it's you he gives it to. Natsumi just smiled at her. I suppose that's true. Warning. End. Don't tell anyone I did this, okay, Kasumi-chan. Kasumi's smirk told more than she needed to know. She will tell Naruto for sure.
Just then the bathroom door opened and Naruto stepped out. He had been expecting a lot of things, but he had not been expecting his older sister's head between his twin's thighs.
He groaned as his now hard member jumped up and hit his stomach. Damn it! I tried so hard to think of non-sexy stuff to get it down, and you both just had to do something like that. And now you will tell me we don't have any time to take care of this, he said, pointing towards his now erect self again. It's not what it looks like. I was just healing her, Natsumi shouted in her defense. With your head, I bet, he deadpanned. As Kasumi was about to leave the bed to take care of her brother's problem, Natsumi stopped her with a hand on her shoulder. No time, Kasumi-chan. Sorry, Naruto. She needs to get ready, and then we all need to go to the academy. It will be over today, so just bear with it this one last time. Groan from him told them both how much he really cared about it. When they had told him about their plans for team assignments, he hadn't been very happy. He hated hiding what he was, and knowing that the academy was going to label him as the weakest made his blood boil. When the time came for Konoha to burn, that place will be one of the brightest lit buildings. Kasumi sighed once he was gone. This just got a lot more complicated. I think it would be better if you two get to know each other soon. One-chan. I know what he saw isn't going to leave his head anytime soon. Natsumi giggled but nodded. If she was honest with herself, she already loved both Naruto and Kasumi. Although she wasn't sure about the sex part yet. Naruto and Kasumi were just too comfortable with each other. And not to mention that she was afraid she wouldn't be any good. Nevertheless, she had spent about 4 years in Konoha and Kasumi had never once let her feel lonely. Always making sure her elder sister was happy. She wasn't even sure that she deserved a sister like Kasumi. So if it was a request from her, she would try her best. Thank you, Kasumi-chan, for being my sister. Kasumi got a confused look on her face before she smiled warmly at her elder sister. Thanks too, Wani-chan. I am just happy that you are here for me. You know I always wanted an elder sister but never knew I will actually have one. Now that I have you, I can't let you go, can I? And with you, Kei-chan and Anui-chan here, you can't imagine how happy I am. I just make sure that all of you are happy. That's the least I can do. Natsumi grinned as she hugged her sister. Of course, Kasumi-chan. What is family for? As long as we have each other, I'm happy too. I'm not wearing anything, Wani-chan. And you just got a lot of on your skirt.